Hi everybody, this tutorial's about one of the basic techniques to get you started with designing and freehand sketching, and want to emphasize the word freehand. I'm going to demonstrate this using a fine line pen. You'll use your HB pencil and then line in your final image. So I'm going to use a technique called the crating technique, and the idea of the crating technique is to basically sketch out in crates or boxes in the correct proportion, and you'll be spoken to about proportion. We'll talk about that a little bit later, to actually get a design concept in. And so basically my simple design shape is going to be in the constraints of this box or this crate, this building box or building crate. So we're going to build a simple shape in there. I'm going to put a center line down, and I'm getting a lot of lines down on the page here, which doesn't matter at all, because these are very faint construction lines. They're building lines that are faint. And I'm just going to start off with a very simple sort of diamond or kite shape. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And providing you do these faintly using your HB pencil, you use an HB because it's got a softish lead. Providing you just take your time and you get your crate right, you'll get your proportion right. And when we say that, we don't want the thing too fat or too thin or too tall or skinny. This is about the proportion that I want. So if you're designing a torch or a case to hold something in or something like that, if you get your proportion right for your crate, you'll make it a lot easier getting a design that looks okay. So I've done that in this 0.1 fine liner pen. I'll put that to one side, and what I'm going to do now is, you saw me use a very simple and free movement. I'm now going to take my thicker fine line pen and I'm going to line in my actual image. Again, you'll do all of this in pencil, and if instructed to do so, you'll use your fine line pen to actually line in your design. And there we go. That looks as I'd hope it would look. Never erase the building lines, the faint construction lines. We just leave those be. So let's move on to a slightly more complex shape or design. Again, I'm going to do a very simple house front, so nicely relaxed. Let's get this crate something like, again, yep, that's about right. I'm going for a slightly chunkier box. There we go. And I'm going to have my roof somewhere there. This is going to be the bottom of the house. Yep, that's fine. Get into the habit of using center lines. They're a good friend to you. They'll help you a lot along the way. Either side there, I'm going to go parallel either side, so straight lines that don't get further apart or closer together. Slightly off center with that one there. That's going to be my door, and then I'm just going to join those up there for the pitch of my roof. So there we go there, and I've created a very simple shape for the outside of a house, and now I'm going to line that in very neatly, or as neatly as I possibly can. I'm not using a ruler. It's freehand sketching, so it's coordination between your eye, your brain and your hand. And that's not a bad attempt. It's by no means perfect, but I could take my eraser if I've done that in pencil and erase those lines. So we'll try something now a little bit more difficult. We'll try a torch. So again, let's get the crate right. that helps us with our proportion, so we're not too tall or too fat or thin or skinny or something like that. So I'm going for something that's slightly longer and narrower crate. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Get the centre line in, get into the habit of putting that centre line in. Now, these are very much symmetrical shapes, so if this is my line of symmetry, what goes in here is a mirror image to there or vice versa. So there's a line of symmetry there and there on those examples there. So I'm going to make my lens part in there, put a part in there as well. The body, the main handle that you actually hold is going to be at either side here. Yeah, I'm pretty much happy with that. That can go up there at an angle. My switch is going to go about there, something like that. Again, all faint construction lines, building lines. Yeah, that's something like, if anything, I might want to move those lines out, or better still, maybe bring those in a little bit more, make that a little bit narrower. So rather than erase, I'm going to bring that in there. Take my slightly thicker pen, put that line in there and there. Across the top of my handle, that's where my lens is going to fit in there. There's the sides of the end, so the light's going to come out there. Pull this left hand side down, this right hand side down. So I'm using a solid line now. My building and construction lines are done and dusted. I'll put a little bit of grip there for my thumb to turn the torch on and off if it's wet or damp. And there's the sides of my switch. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the design of that. Okay, so if we've got to do curves or something like that, or circles, well, obviously these take a lot more practice and are far more difficult. But quite a good way, a good starting way, is to start off and just split it into quarters. Pretend that it's a square. Again, faint construction lines that are very easy to erase. And get this box. There we go. That's about square. Split it into 4 and just think about it as 4 arcs that are the same in each corner. So I'm going to start off by just sort of getting a feel, and then lightly get my arc on the page there. I'm going to rotate my paper because I'm happier working in this top left hand corner. Again, get that approximately as you want it to be. Yeah, that one's similar to this one here. I'm going to go back to this one, look, and just add a little bit more there. And then, like I say, the more experienced you get, the more you'll be able to free up with this, and you'll find that the more practice you have at producing internal and external curves and round objects, the easier you'll actually find that this comes to you, and it'll tend to look a bit more like a ball and not a potato or a potato chip. And I'm just going in a little bit darker now, a little bit more heavy with this simple shape. Yeah, I'm about there now. So yeah, that's not great, but it's not too bad either. And I'm now going to take my pen, my thicker fine line pen, and again I'm rotating the page. You don't have to rotate it. The more practice you get, this is a great starting point until you're comfortable, you know. And as you get more and more confident and competent with doing curves and circles or ellipses, you know, you can start to just get a feel for it like that, lightly with your pencil. So basically, we've got some very simple shapes there. that have all been crated out using faint construction lines to try and get the proportions right. It's a bit like a man with a matchstick man, as I should say. And, you know, if I just sketch one of those out here for you, hopefully you can see that in this instance here, the head's rather too large. And in this instance here, his body's rather too large. Whereas in this instance here, we've got some sort of proportion that works well. The parts work relatively well, where the arms, the head, the body and the legs look something more like what it should be. So that's simple crating using building lines, using faint construction lines to build, and then note please that the designs themselves fit within those crates, in those extremities. So this side, this top, this bottom. And of course, if we want to add to it, we can always add another crate and start to build in windows or a garage or something like that on that house. So that's basic crating. Have a go at that. Thanks very much.